What would you do if you discovered a secret that shattered your entire world? A secret so dark it makes you question everything you thought you knew about the person you love most. This is the story of Courtroom Rickens, a woman who seemed to have it all: a beautiful family, a successful career, and a loving husband. But behind the perfect facade, a toxic secret was festering, one that would lead to a shocking and tragic end. Courtroom and Eric Rickens lived in a beautiful home near Park City, Utah, a picturesque mountain town known for its ski resorts and serene landscapes. To the outside world, they were the picture of success. Eric was a prosperous masonry business owner, and Courtroom was a budding real estate agent and, later, a children's book author. They had 3 young sons and a life that many would envy. They had been married for 9 years, building a life and a family together. But as investigators would soon discover, their marriage was far from the fairy tale it appeared to be. The foundation of their relationship was cracked, riddled with secrets, betrayal, and financial disputes. The night of March 3, 2022, started like any other. Courtroom and Eric were celebrating a business deal Courtroom had just closed. To celebrate, Courtroom made her husband a Moscow Mule, a popular vodka cocktail. Eric drank it in bed while Courtroom and their children slept in another room. A little after 3 a.m., Courtroom awoke to find Eric unresponsive at the foot of their bed. He was cold to the touch. Panicked, she called 911. The dispatcher's recording captured her distress. "He's not breathing," she cried. "I just came in my room, and he's on the ground." When paramedics arrived, it was too late. Eric Rickens, a healthy 39-year-old man, was pronounced dead. At first, Eric's death was a mystery. There were no obvious signs of injury. An initial autopsy was inconclusive. Courtroom told police that she had made Eric the celebratory drink, but had left it in the bedroom while she went to put their kids to bed. She claimed she didn't see him drink it, and that she had slept in one of her son's rooms that night because he was having a nightmare. She said when she returned to her own bedroom around 3 a.m., she found Eric on the floor. It seemed like a tragic, unexplainable accident. The family mourned, and the community rallied around the grieving widow and her 3 young boys. Just a week after Eric's death, Courtroom did something that many found strange. She co-hosted a large party at her home. Then, a month later, she published a children's book. The title, Are You With Me? It was a book designed to help children cope with the loss of a parent. On the book's dedication page, Courtroom wrote, "Dedicated to my amazing husband and a wonderful father." She went on local television to promote the book, presenting herself as a grieving widow trying to help her sons and other children navigate the immense pain of loss. She spoke about the emptiness and shock of losing her husband unexpectedly. To the public, she was a pillar of strength, turning her personal tragedy into a source of comfort for others. But behind the scenes, investigators were starting to uncover a much darker story. The medical examiner's final report came back, and the findings were explosive. Eric Rickens had died from a massive overdose of fentanyl. Not just a small amount, he had 5 times the lethal dose in his system. This was no accident, this was a poisoning. And the investigation immediately turned toward the person who was last with him, his wife, Courtroom. As detectives dug deeper, the pristine image of the Rickens marriage began to crumble. They discovered that Eric had long suspected his wife was trying to harm him. He had told close friends and family that if anything ever happened to him, they should look at Courtroom. Why? The motive, it seemed, was a tangled web of finances and deceit. Court documents revealed that Courtroom had taken out multiple life insurance policies on Eric without his knowledge, totaling nearly $2 million. Eric discovered this and had removed her as the beneficiary from his will and his own life insurance policy, making his sister the sole beneficiary instead. This wasn't the first time Eric had a close call. On Valentine's Day, just a few weeks before his death, Eric became violently ill after having dinner with Courtroom. He broke out in hives and had trouble breathing. He told a friend he thought his wife had tried to poison him. He survived that incident, but it seemed to confirm his deepest fears. The most damning piece of evidence, however, was found on Eric's phone, or rather, the lack of his phone. When police arrived on the scene the night of his death, Eric's cell phone was missing. Courtroom claimed she didn't know where it was. But the investigation revealed that Courtroom had a secret of her own. She had a second cell phone that she kept hidden from her husband. And the search history on that phone was chilling. Investigators found searches for luxury prisons for the rich, what is a lethal dose of fentanyl, and, crucially, how to obtain illicit narcotics in their area. The digital trail led them directly to an acquaintance of Court's, a person with a history of drug-related charges. This person, identified in court documents as CL, admitted to selling Court fentanyl on multiple occasions. The first time was in February, shortly before Eric's Valentine's Day illness. The second time was just days before his death. On February 26th, Court contacted CL and asked for some of the Michael Jackson stuff, requesting a stronger dose of fentanyl. She paid $900 for the pills and picked them up. 6 days later, Eric was dead. The pieces were all falling into place. Investigators believed Court had been planning her husband's murder for weeks, if not months. The motive appeared to be purely financial. Court was in deep debt, owing hundreds of thousands of dollars to creditors and the IRS. She had allegedly been stealing money from her husband's business and forging financial documents. With Eric out of the way, she stood to inherit his assets and collect on the fraudulent life insurance policies she had taken out. The celebratory Moscow Mule was not a celebration of her success, but a carefully planned vehicle for a lethal poison. More than a year after Eric's death, in May 2023, Court Rickens, the children's book author who wrote about coping with grief, was arrested and charged with the murder of her husband. The news sent shockwaves through their quiet Utah community. The woman who had publicly mourned her husband was now accused of meticulously planning his death. The prosecution's case is built on this mountain of evidence: the financial disputes, Eric's suspicions, the previous poisoning attempt, the damning internet searches, and the testimony of the person who sold her the fentanyl. They paint a picture of a cold, calculating woman who was willing to do anything for money, even murder the father of her children. Court's defense team, however, argues that the prosecution's case is purely circumstantial. They claim that the acquaintance who allegedly sold her the drugs is an unreliable witness, trying to get a lighter sentence for their own legal troubles. They maintain that Court is innocent, a loving wife and mother who is now being unfairly targeted and framed for a crime she did not commit. They point to the lack of direct evidence. No one saw her put the fentanyl in the drink. They argue that the state has no real proof, only a story constructed from coincidences and the words of a desperate informant. The case also brought another stunning secret to light. During their investigation into Court's communications, police discovered text messages between her and a paramour on the day of her husband's death, after he had already passed away, but before she had reported it. It adds another layer of betrayal to an already tragic story. Today, Court Rickens sits in a jail cell, awaiting trial. She faces charges of aggravated murder and multiple counts of drug possession. The children's book she wrote, once a symbol of hope and healing, has now been pulled from online stores, its title a haunting echo of the dark reality behind its creation. The story of Court Rickens is a chilling reminder that sometimes the most monstrous secrets are hidden behind the most ordinary faces, and that the line between love and hate, grief and greed, can be terrifyingly thin. As the legal battle unfolds, a family remains shattered, and a community waits for justice for Eric Rickens. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on this complex and disturbing case? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.